Let's move on to our next story for the day. What happens to your old television sets, mobile phones, or household electronics once they are unusable? Did you know that electronic waste are huge sources of copper, silver, iron, and even gold? The BBC's Kunle Falayi tells us more on the economic potentials of recycling e-waste.
According to the United Nations Environment Programme, over 500,000 tons of discarded appliances are processed in the country annually. In most cases, when the e-waste end up here, residents who are out to make some quick cash scavenge the waste with their bare hands at the risk of their health. Up to 100,000 people work in the informal e-waste sector in Nigeria. I want to meet Usman Sani, who has been picking e-waste off dump sites for 5 years.
How much money do you make in a day?
4,000.
4,000 naira. That's about $11.
Yeah, yes.
So who do you sell all this to?
Get one customer where you can buy for me.
A customer comes here
Yes.
and buys them from you.
Yes.
Even though this may not look like a very big business for scavengers like Usman, there are Nigerians who have made a lot of profit from electronic waste.
Isaac Egu is an e-waste merchant who has been in the business for the last 15 years. It depends on scavengers like Usman for his supplies.
So how big is your business? By this I mean, how many people do you have in your employ?
I have like 10 people working with me, and they work from Monday to Friday.
So on an average in a month, how much profit do you make in this business?
I make like 200,000.
That is more than $500, right?
Yeah, that is it.
It looks like the country is gradually seeing the money side of the e-waste. In June, the Nigerian government, the Global Environment Facility, and the United Nations Environment Programme announced a $15 million initiative to kick off a circular e-waste system in Nigeria.
According to studies corroborated by the United Nations Environment Programme, there is 100 times more gold in a ton of e-waste than a ton of gold ore. It's not just about gold. E-waste are huge sources of iron, copper, platinum, aluminium. I've come to see how this recycling company in Lagos is helping to turn this e-waste to wealth.
Ifeanyi Ochonogo, who runs this recycling facility in Lagos, has been in the business since 2013.
How much waste does this facility handle every month?
We're approaching a ton every month. Things are looking up because the legislation has come out and the enforcement of that legislation is clear as of this year.
What kind of precious metals do you mine for in this e-waste?
You have various amount of precious metals, various kinds of precious metals from gold. You have other precious materials such as neodymium. That's a rare earth material that needs to be used to manufacture your hard drives.
How do you make money from all this?
A lot of people need their confidential data managed, from the World Bank to Nigerian government, NNPC, whoever you can think of. They need their confidential data secured. That's on a monthly basis. So this is something that I'm glad that the whole of the country is becoming more awake towards and practical as well.
With fast technological advancement making many of these electronics obsolete, chances are they would end up in a dump site. How much do people know about the economic potential in e-waste, along with the dangers associated with continuous exposure to such waste? There is no better place to find out than Nigeria's own Silicon Valley, known as the Computer Village in Lagos. Maduka Anthony has been selling and repairing old electronics but has no idea of how big the business of unusable electronics is.
How do you dispose of your electronic waste?
We don't have any specific or a defined means of disposing those electronic wastes. The only people we dispose it through is those, will I call them cat pushers. They normally flog around asking for the scraps. You know, those are them that we are unable to fix and get it to working again. We sell it off to them at peanuts.
Now, are you also aware that this e-waste can be mined for precious metals like gold, like silver, like copper, like platinum?
Not really. I'm not much aware about it. Apart from some of those cat pushers, because most of the time after gathering this, they have some dump ground. After gathering those stuffs, you see them in the evening extracting some vital components from it.
While many developed countries are shipping their e-waste to less developed countries, some business-minded people in countries like Nigeria import the e-waste for its economic value. Kunle Falai, BBC, Lagos, Nigeria.
So that's what happens here. Let's find out how other countries are maximizing potentials from recycling their electronic waste in this week's 360 Roundup. Ghana adopted the Hazardous and Electronic Waste Control and Management Act in 2016. The policy requires producers and private importers of electronics to register with Ghana's Environmental Protection Agency and pay an advanced eco-levy, which can be up to $15 per goods imported. Collected funds are used to enforce environmental protection. And in Hong Kong, manufacturers, importers, retailers, and consumers share the responsibility for the collection, recycling, and disposal of electronic products. Electronic suppliers must have a removal service plan before making sales. They must also provide recycling label and pay recycling levies. This week's 360 Roundup there. Still ahead here on Gist Nigeria from the BBC and Channels TV. We'll bring you the story of one mother who has set up a foundation to provide free prosthetics to children under 18. Stay tuned.